Alrighty guys, welcome back to another unboxing from Fear Not Tarantulas / review. These are their spring 2023 mystery boxes. Well, a couple of them, as well as a couple other slings that I picked up this go around. So yeah, we'll be doing the rehousings and opening them up. They had just arrived. And so yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this on video for you guys. Swap over to our camera. This is our inventory sheet here. Other cards for you guys. Got to figure out the angle for this camera. Yeah, that'll be better. Fear Not Tarantulas. They're located at Virginia Beach. The vast majority of my collection, aside from a couple I picked up at the local reptile expo when it's in town, have all been from Fear Not Tarantulas. Be really loud with the paper here in the camera. Let's get these guys all out of here. First, thanks everyone. And move that paper. Down in the box. This one is TJ's Giant Predator. This is the one that my guess was that it's right there at the top. This is the one with my guess. I don't know if you guys can really see it right here up top. My guess was that it's probably going to be T.Blondi, which, from what I can see of it so far, it looks like it probably is, which is perfect because I do not have any bird eaters other than a Lasiadora clue guy, which is the Scarlet Bird Eater, in my collection. Yeah. This was my freebie, the Pusletheria rufilata, which I do not have in my collection yet. The rest of these are all new worlds. This one is the only old world I picked up this time. I currently have an Pusletheria ornata and a Pusletheria metallica upstairs with the rest of the T's on my shelf, which the Pusletheria ornata I got at Repticon at the end of this past November 2022 as a freebie from, I believe it was Ashboro Exotics here in North Carolina. And the other one, I had gotten the Metallica from Fear Not, same place that these have all came from. In fact, that I had actually unpacked in my last video. This is Summer's Tropical Mystery. This one, I believe, is possibly the Mascara Bird Eater, was my guess. I'm willing to bet I'm probably right on at least one of these. It's a good thing they don't have properly. But I was just looking at the lids. These vials had names on the lids, but those aren't the same species that are in them, because that is definitely not an HMAC inside of the Pusletheria vial. These are the rest of them in here. These two here are Cirrocosmos elegans, aka the heart-butt tarantula, or the Trinidad dwarf tiger, which these were actually a combo pack, the two of them, they were on sale for Tanya, the owner of Fear Not Tarantula's wedding anniversary, that they did a little sale for. So again, congratulations to Tanya. I believe I had already said that on Facebook the day of, but congratulations again. So these are the Cirrocosmos elegans in here, and I have some, if they're small as I think they are being in here, we're probably going to end up using these 2x2s instead of the 3x3 cubes. But they grow fairly quickly, so they'll probably won't stay in those 2x2s for a crazy long amount of time. Over here we have Jacob's Banded Beauty mystery box. This one, I believe my guess was Avicularia. Don't remember. I believe it's Avicularia ruffla or rufflita, something like that. Might be thinking of the Bacillitheria. That is the possibly Goliath Birdeater right there. Yeah, I might have them mixed up, but the banded Avicularia, I believe, is the one that this one is most likely. This is my Avicularia Minitrix, which they got in stock, and I've been looking for these guys for a while, because Avicularia is one of my favorite genuses, and this one stays tiny. I definitely wanted to grab one. I could see a little foot right here, I think, unless that's a piece of just the moss. So yeah, we're gonna put this in its what will likely be its housing for the better part of its life until it reaches its adult size, and then it will go into probably a small tarantula cribs treehouse, if not a medium, depending on how active and how much space it will use, which we'll find out. This one is a Grammostola rosea, RCF, aka red color form. This is the Chilean rosehair tarantula. These ones, I had actually, my first ever tarantula back when I was in elementary school was an adult Chilean rosehair. I believe it was actually a poteri though, not a rosea. So it technically was not a true rosehair. But it was a mature male, and it ended up dying on me soon after I got it. And after that failed, thinking I did something wrong, I never actually got back into tarantulas, despite doing research and realizing it was just a mature male. So this is my first Grammostola rosea since then, or Porteri rosea. Same difference these days. They're both called Chilean rosehairs, but they are two different species. Although I believe they're in the midst of getting reclassified to being morphs within the same species, I believe, or localities. But I'm not 100% sure on that one. This is Michelle's Regal Beauty, which my guess on what this one was going to be was the Avicularia purpea, I believe is how it's pronounced, or the purple pink toe. So we'll see what they say when they announce the species. And these were the only ones I picked up with the mystery boxes. The others I was fairly confident in what they were. For example, the I believe it was the Philippine silver, I think is what it was. Something Ocanthus Curious, I think it was an old world silver tarantula, which I wasn't really interested in, just a plain silver tarantula in my collection right now. It's not an old world that I would hardly see anyways. So let's get on with the rehousings. Let's start off with the Ceramacausis elegans, since they are going to probably just go in these two enclosures here. So they should be fairly quick rehouses. Now, a little hint for you guys that should help for those that label their enclosures as I do. I discovered just on a whim when I tried it out, if you use Scotch tape on especially on your acrylic enclosures, and put your label over the Scotch tape, it'll make it a lot easier to remove it, in opposed to having some label stuck that you then have to really get at it with some vinegar and water to try to get off without accidentally scratching the acrylic, which is why I haven't pulled this one off yet. It's currently underneath the tape here. But it'll make it so you can remove these without any residue. So let's go ahead and add the soil in here. So here we have our enclosures. I have lids. I had both lids right next to me. Currently have one lid in my hand. Where did I put that other one? That would help to have. I put it underneath the bag with the soil. That's where I put it. All right. So now we have the moss to do real quick, which I put this side. And this is just sphagnum moss, which you can buy in bricks, condensed and rehydrated. So this had been bought in a brick, rehydrated. I use a little bit of this in all of my enclosures. Don't know if we're gonna be able to fit a hide in here for them. Usually I can manage to squeeze one into the 3x3s, just a little piece of cork bark or what have you. I might have to cut a little chunk off of some cork bark later to try to give them just a little something to use for cover other than the moss here. Maybe angle it in there a little bit as a starter burrow. We have that, and now we need water dishes, which for them, I have some tiny tattoo caps, or tattoo ink caps, which may even be too big for them. And if they are, I will pull these out. But I prefer to have at least some kind of water dish in all my enclosures if I can help it. So we will add, actually we're going to spray a little water in here first. And this is just RODI water, which is reverse osmosis deionization, or deionized water, same thing as it's a distilling process. Almost pure water. I just added to it a little bit of Reptisafe from Zoomed, which is supposed to add back a little bit of the electrolytes. It's also a dechlorinator, but there being no chlorine in here to begin with, that's a moot point, because reverse osmosis deionized water should have no chlorine in it. I believe my TDS meter tested it at about 1 or 0.1 TDS right now. So my filters are brand new on that and still holding up. So we have our elegance right here. We will start opening them up and get them in here. This will end up being a longer video, but that's because I'm going to keep this in depth for you guys. Oh, the cats are coming over to say hello. Usually I don't do this down here. Just want to move that, make sure I don't accidentally grab it with the tweezers. Oh, holy shit, it really is fucking tiny. I don't know if you guys can see that. Probably can't on camera. I don't know if the camera's gonna be able to focus on that. There's that tiny little speck right here on top of the moss. Tiny little brown speck. That's the elegant sling. That is like the tiniest I have ever seen a sling. Oh, it's moving. I don't know if you guys can see it. That is absolutely tiny. I will never be able to find that in this 2x2. I might be better move it in germ vial. And yeah, we're taking out those dishes. That is, it will drown in this dish. This is a swimming pool. I don't know if you guys were able to see it, but this is a swimming pool compared to the size of that sling. I just walked off. Yeah, you guys are definitely not gonna be able to see that now. That is teeny tiny. Holy crap. I have rice flower beetles prepared to feed things. I do not actually have any flightless fruit flies on hand anymore. So this guy's probably gonna have to get some roach leg drumsticks to scavenge feed on for a while, unless the pet store has any flightless fruit fly cultures on hand that I can pick up last minute. Because I think even a rice flower beetle might be pushing it for this guy to eat. Let's see how big the other one is. Oh, actually, before we do that, we're going to continue our habit of not forgetting to label our enclosures here. I've already printed out our labels. I swapped to using a label maker and opposed to our old Avery label sheets because these I found also remove a little easier and leave less residue. And also saves me the hassle of having to first go swap the paper that's in the printer whenever I need a label. And making like one label per sheet and then having to readjust the template every time to just use the slot on the sheet that I need at the time. Okay, these are probably not going to stick very well though because I have some soil on my hands, so I might need to end up reprinting these later or putting more tape on over them, which is not the end of the world. That is our common name tag here, and then this is the species tag in the front, which being that I have two of these, I have them labeled as specimen 1 and specimen 2, just like I have my Carabiner Versicolors. Not that I could really mix up the, at least currently, my one that is about the size of a dime and my one that is the size of a little sauce plate currently. Alright, so now let's get this one off to the side here, let it settle in, and we will start unwrapping this one. Nice fancy orange electrical tape. It's not right on top, as usual, with the dwarf ones. And there it is. I don't know if you guys can see that one contrasting on the white now. That little speck, it actually probably looks a lot bigger on camera than it actually is. But the little brown speck on the edge of the white, I'm trying not to accidentally poke it, but right here on the edge of the white, my tongs are near it, near the point of the tongs there. Right next to the moss, but attached to the paper towel there. That is the tiny sling. The other one is about the same size as this one looks like. I'm going to try to pull the moss out without it so you guys can see it a little better. That tiny little speck looks like a brown piece of dust, like a grain of rice would be bigger than this thing. This is a tiny little baby. It almost looks like a speck of soil. We're going to get this little one. I'm going to use, this brush might be a little too big for this. I'm going to very gently use the edge of the tongs here with them closed just to get it to wander out a bit. Might have to get it onto my finger and then into the enclosure, which is fine. Even if it was to try to bite me, this little baby can't do anything. Currently hanging on my finger here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Just right here. There's a little baby. Okay, don't want it to jump or anything. So I'm going to very quickly try to get this one in here. And again, these are also commonly referred to as the heart butt tarantulas. I believe it walked off. Yes, it did. Just double checking to make sure I can see it in there. Which I can't. I think it climbed out of the container. I had it on the edge. But it's not on the table. I'm pretty sure it's in there. Let's use our tongs here to get a better view and just double check. Because it's not on my hand or anything anymore. We know it's in here. Yep, it's right there. It crawled right underneath the moss. I knew I saw it drop in there, but I was almost worried that I saw a piece of soil fall off my hand or something instead. And that the piece of soil that fell off my hand afterwards was it climbing out of the enclosure. Okay. So yeah, these guys are tiny as can be. And are going to be a challenge to feed. However, I've heard that for their size, they usually don't give any issue with eating as slings. They're not crazy picky and they'll take down larger prey. So a rice flower beetle or maybe one of the rice flower mealworms that are even smaller than the rice flower beetles, like a younger one that had hatched recently, would probably be the perfect size for this guy. And that's more than likely what I'll end up trying to use at first. While I can watch it attempt to eat it, and if I don't see it immediately snatch it up, I'll pull it out and get some of the smaller, I believe it's Haiti fruit flies, I think are the smaller ones. Or is it Mellingaster? It might be Mellingaster, that's the smaller. But I will pick some up if I need to. For these guys, that is probably the easiest thing that I could have to worry about as something to come up to deal with. All right, so I'm going to cut here and then cut back in, and we'll do the next one. Alrighty, guys, I am back, and in an effort to try to keep this video a little shorter than what it would be otherwise, I went ahead and already did the enclosure off camera here, just adding soil to it. I put in one of the little water dishes that we were going to use for the elegans, which hopefully will be the proper size for the Minitrix right now, but there's a good likelihood it's probably going to still be too big for the Minitrix. Here in the bottom, just for humidity purposes, as it gets bigger, I'll put a larger water dish that will be attached to the side as it is an arboreal species, and that way it has water to drink from. While it's tiny, it'll just drink droplets. But the little water dish there will be just in case. If it does want to go down there and drink, it has that also, mainly just to keep humidity just right so it doesn't dry out too much between mistings. And then I've added just some lightly moistened moss here in the corner behind these fake plants for it to hide. Because I don't know how big it is yet, I'm not going to try to cut some cork bark, but I will likely add a little piece there in the middle for it later, or a piece of maybe some chalder wood that'll be efficient. That was almost the wrong vial. That will work for it for cover. Let's get the Minitrix here into the enclosure. I've already installed our labels on it here with the Scotch tape behind them. So this is one of my long-time wanted species because Avicularia, all except for I think maybe the Gigas, or Goliath. I think it's Gigas. Goliath Avicularia or Goliath Pinkto is all the rest of the genus for the most part. Although this one tends to be more skittish and would rather flee. The other ones tend to be more docile, where you can almost handle them sometimes. Now, still not the best thing to do, handling them. However, if you were going to handle any tarantulas, in terms of if it were to jump out of your hand just slightly over the table and being docile, Navicularia would probably be the safer bet to go, considering it's an arboreal species, so that little jump is not going to hurt it. And the fact that it's a docile species also has to rub the urticating hairs on you, so you'll be able to tell that it's what it's trying to do. It's going to be getting you with those hairs. But the Avicularia Minitrix is here currently in the bottom. It keeps moving further and further behind the moss here. That little guy. I'm almost tempted just to stick the whole vial into its enclosure for right now and let it climb out when it's ready. Once I get the majority of this moss out. because I don't want to accidentally like grab the little one with the tweezers here, how small it is. See if I can use some of the moss to coax it out. There we go. You guys can kind of see it here. Sorry, I think I was slightly off camera frame with that. I was pulling the moss out. But you guys could see it right here. It's not that tiny. It's about the same size as what my carabiner was when I first got it from Fear Not. Well, carabiner Versacolor to be specific. In the last mystery event thing for Halloween that they did. Oop, sorry. Yep, somebody's scared. Oop, jumped right into the enclosure. Okay, good. I've never seen an avicularia run like that before. I watched a video that I believe it was Tarantula Collective Richard did on Minitrix. It was like one of the few videos I could find on the species while I was researching it. And he had said that they seem to be very flighty compared to other avicularias. He was not kidding. The other ones barely wanted to come out of the vial. I had to coax them out. They climbed right onto my hand and into the enclosure. This one wanted to stay in that vial, and I tried to evict it, tried to run for its life. Okay. But it's currently here in the bottom corner in the enclosure, which I'll see if you guys will be able to see it in 2 seconds. I want to cover this and make sure it's safe. Okay, there we go. You guys should be able to see it there. Hopefully, with the reflection, you can kind of see its legs. Yeah, don't know how I'm going to be able to get this in the frame. Up there we go, the camera adjusted. Now you guys can see it right there in the bottom here. So I'd imagine it's probably going to make a little partial burrow here, and then once it's been left alone in the dim room on the shelf for a little while, it'll make its home up in the leaves, although it looks like it's getting ready to climb up right now on its own anyway. We'll leave it right here beside the camera here. And yeah, I'm going to cut and we'll do the next one. Alrighty guys, we are back. This is from the Minitrix. I, again, got the enclosure set up first. This time we're using one of the 3x3 Tarantula crib cubes. Hopefully it's the right size for this rosea, and it's not super tiny, because I do not have any more of those 2x2s on hand, I don't think. I'd have to double check at the back of my storage shelf that none ended up somehow scooched back there. But this one's big enough to give it a cork bark to hide under. I lightly dampened the substrate here for the first time that it's being set up. The surface is going to allow it to dry out. We'll keep the bottom just slightly damp. The moss will keep with just a little bit of extra moisture on that for while it's a baby, because I keep all my slings slightly moist compared to adults. I know roseas tend to like it on the drier side. So we'll let that dry out a little more over time, but for the initial setup here, we want to have that be dampened. Let's see where this little one is. Pull out the moss here. Looks like it's all the way at the bottom. I don't want the moss in its water dish, so the sphagnum moss here can stay in there. That's fine. Let's see where it's at. Come out wherever you are, little one. You cannot hide. Oh yeah, it's a tiny baby. It's about the same size my iridescent blue was when it came. I don't know if you guys can really see that. I don't want to move it too far above the enclosure here. It's crawling out onto me. There's a little baby rose hair tarantula. If the camera will focus. Like that, in case it decides to move a little bit. It's only about the size of my finger now. Just a little baby. Yeah, I don't think that's focusing very well. But we'll get her to walk off in here. The only reason I let this thing walk off onto me is the same reason I did for the elegans and the don't know if you could see it walking off there on the cork bark right there on the side. It's the same reason I did for the elegans and the Avicularias and my Caribbean Versicolor in that other video. A, they're new worlds. B, they're tiny slings. C, each of these are known to be docile species, and it was just easier to get them into that enclosure. If they were an old world, under no circumstances would I have done that in any capacity, even as a baby. But as a baby like that, their fangs probably could not penetrate, even if they wanted to bite. Plus, these are new worlds and docile, and they don't have a reason to try to bite anyway. So let's put the lid back on this one here, and we will move on to the next one. Alrighty, guys. So now, just like the last two here, I've gotten these set up in advance. This next one's going to be Michelle's Regal Beauty mystery box. This is the one that I believe might be a Avicularia purpea, is my guess. Either that or maybe a Durensis Morph Type 2, which is also a purple pink toe, but I doubt it's that one since they just did those for the fall mystery box. Which I wouldn't be entirely upset if I got one of those too, because as much as I really want a Purpea, my Morph Type M2 or Morph Type 2 Durensis, unfortunately, was my one and only tarantula that has, other than my mature male. I probably don't remember if it was a Pateria or Rosea, but it was a Rosea tarantula when I was in elementary school. Other than that, mature male, the only tarantula I've ever owned that died on me. Well, the only sling that had ever died on me was the Durensis that unfortunately did not do too well. This one's right here at the top. And we know it's a new world, so I'm not too concerned with just opening it like this. But I've set it up the same way we did the Minitrix. It's right there at the top. Whoop, whoop, whoop. On my hand, running down my hand, yep. Here we go. And it's on my shirt. Come on. Into the, dodge the enclosure. This is why we have a catch cup, which I can't currently reach with my other arm. Actually, from the shape of the body, it could also be a Tarantulas species. It reminds me of my plummet pest upstairs. I don't know if you guys could see her while she's currently on her running all over me, probably depositing or irrigating hairs. But what if it is an Avicularia? What the hell is it with Avicularias today? And all being skittish. Minitrix and this one. Come on. Oh, into the enclosure, you. Come on. I mean, probably could just use my fingers at this point. It's already ran all over my arms, both my arms, and across my sleeves and back again. Okay. Go ahead. There you go. Get in there where you're safe enough that I can even deposited a drag web on me. Like a jumping spider. Okay. Make sure it's not anywhere near the edges of this one. I gotta shut it. So I don't want to accidentally close it between because that would be bad. But that one's definitely big enough. We can give it that other food dish and water dish up towards the top. And I'll probably make the one at the bottom a little bigger instead of these tiny cap that I gave it. I don't know if you guys can see it there now. Going around the edges. The camera will adjust again. Where'd it go? I think it climbed up in between the leaves there now. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. It doesn't look like an avicularia body-wise to me though. Something about the abdomen and the kind of, I don't know if that's still considered the abdomen or not. That would be its butt. The center of the carapace, the head, just the shape, or what you would call the quote unquote head, where the eyes are, kind of looks reminiscent of a Tabanakis. It looks like a tiny Tabanakis bone pest to me, but I'm pretty sure they don't have those in stock at Fear Not. And I don't know who would call that a regal beauty. It's a brown tarantula. They say it's supposed to be a mahogany tree spider. It can get, they're supposed to look almost purplish, but I've not seen any display that purple. So, I mean, I guess to each their own, but that would be not a great thing to describe it as for most people, I guess, as a regal beauty, if that is what it is. So that totally threw me off. But I could be wrong. It could be Navicularia drensis. Or, no, not drensis. This definitely isn't a drensis. No, now I've seen this thing. It definitely isn't because they don't look like that. But it could be a Perpea still. I've never seen a Perpea sling. I don't know if they have that, the coloration. I'm willing to bet if I go and I look that up right now, though, it probably looks like the same as most of the Avicularia slings as a baby. Which means that's probably not a Perpea. But I could be wrong. So let's do this one here. Is Jacob's Banded Beauty, which, if I was right, is Avicularia wolfia, I believe, or the banded Avicularia. This one is not right on top. Okay, let's try not to go 3 for 3 with laying possibly Avicularias and confirmed Avicularias. Yeah, this one looks more like an Avicularia to me on the abdomen. The other one looked nothing like an Avicularia to me. It looked like a Tapanakis. Maybe it could be like a baby Venezuelan sun tiger too, but I don't know. I've never seen those as a tiny sling like that size. And I somehow doubt it would have been that chill if it was. This one here, I don't know if you guys can see it. This one here is definitely an Avicularia. You can tell. I don't want to move it too close to the camera. It's just on the edge of the moss like that. When I get to my finger, I can bring it a little closer. But that, you can tell. You see the stripe or banding on the abdomen there? The black with the kind of lighter coloration accenting it. And the little black toes. Oh, now it's currently on the other side of my hand. You guys can see it. There you go. That's like perfect. You see how it has a banding like that on the abdomen and the kind of orange legs, the little black toes currently. Yeah, that is like trademark of baby Avicularia. The only slings I've ever seen that really resembled like that, and in different shades. Some have like the lighter pink, some have more of a bluish hue to them. Hell, even the Carabina versicolor, which used to be an Avicularia before it was reclassified. Yes, it's blue all the way through and has a lighter blue accenting it, but still the same patterning on the abdomen and everything. It's like trying to, I don't know if it's trying to rub or getting hairs on me, or it's just its little butt fingers that it's currently wiggling at me. But here we go. Go ahead, little one. But yeah, this is definitely an Avicularia, so I was probably right. It's probably the striped avicularia, which would be amazing because that would mean that was a really good deal on getting it in the mystery box, especially same with the TJ's Giant if it is a T.Blondi. And I have not gotten this one in my collection yet. I'm slowly pulling a Thanos with Tarantulas and collecting all the Infinity Avicularias. So here we go with this one. Right here, actually, I do not want to put these guys near the edge of the table. That would not be smart. The next one we're going to do is going to be the Puscillatheria, because this one is going to be quite the show to rehouse, I would imagine. So I'm going to cut here. I was about to say I'm not going to, but I'm actually going to do that just so I can trim this down a little shorter for you guys. We have our little catch cup here, just in case. Everything else is already in there. Let's get this one open and go from there. Which hopefully it's not right at the top. Surprisingly, it's not. Okay. Let's not have a repeat of the Metallica, which, if I remember correctly, bolted across the table for a second. Luckily, it didn't go far. I know these guys are a little more high-strung. The Metallicas are considered like the most docile of the Puscillatheria species. Oh, I see it. Being an old world, notoriously fast, I need to be. Okay, real careful also using these sharper tongs. Lightly poked the substrate right next to it, and it started to come out and then went back in. Come on. I don't want to spook it, but I don't want to like try to stick my tongs in there on the angle again either. Okay, there we go. Right in. I almost thought I was going to have to pull my hands away so I didn't climb out of my hands. I don't know if you guys were able to see that. I was in the zone trying to get it in there without any issues. Kind of forgot to watch the angle. But it is right out in the open. If you guys can see it there, I don't know. Try moving the camera here for you guys for a minute. It is right there on the edge right here. Not too big, not too small. A cork bark should be plenty actually for it to hide behind for a while. I would have ideally liked it to be taller or been able to position it better, but I would have to break off a chunk of that to be able to position that on a better angle for it. To be on a more arboreal angle than laying the way it is. But we'll probably put a couple fake leaves in there. My Metallica actually has a live pothos in the back of its enclosure that somehow has not died on it. It seems to be holding up well against all the webbing. So we will probably plant one of those in there at some point. Probably we'll do a rehousing into a bigger enclosure. For now, I'll probably add just a couple fake leaves in there when I can know where it is in the enclosure and safely use tongs to deposit that maybe behind the car park a little bit. So the next is going to be the others. So I'm going to cut here and go get some more substrate. Alrighty guys, I'm back. I got the substrate for the other enclosures. I ended up actually having enough for this first one. I had to just get for that second one. So this one is the one that was still sitting on top that I think is a T.Blondi. It's already large. I'd rather not get a hair of, or a cloud of hairs kicked in my face. So this is going to be a challenge. We will hopefully be able to get a good view of this for you guys. Try to open this up nice and slow. And whoop, just rolled right out. Did not do that on purpose. But yeah, that looks like a T.Blondi to me. And not seeing the banding on the legs that would indicate it's an apophysis or a Stormy. I don't remember off the top of my head the other indicators to tell them apart. And I believe that pink, or the pinkish banding is only for the apophysis anyway. Currently has his leg in the water dish. Leave him like that. Just gonna get him to take your leg out. There you go. Let me make sure you're okay. Okay. Just chill, little dude. I don't know if you guys can see him. Because he's kind of blending in there. Just right here in front. Come on, camera, focus. There we go. And kind of, so he's just put his legs back down. There we go. I don't know why the camera takes so long to focus. He's right there in the middle. Right there at the foot on the water dish. You guys should be able to see that clearly. But I'm pretty sure that's a Goliath Birdeater, aka the T.Blondi, which is exactly what I was hoping it was. Because I need to stop spending the amount of money that I spend on tarantulas. Not that I've really been spending all that much lately anyway, but a couple of my tarantulas are, at least the ones I got at the expo, were on the more expensive side. Although I did get a deal on those too. And I wasn't going to drop 175 bucks on a Blondi anytime soon. So when I saw there was a chance that was going to be in the mystery box based on that hint, I jumped on it. Now this one is Summer's Tropical Mystery, and this one I believe is probably the Mascara Birdeater. It was like the only other species on their website with the size that matched. The size, the fact that it's a new world, it's terrestrial, and the hints within the like little poem riddle thing matched the species to the T. So we will see if I was correct. I think I see it all the way down in there. Yep. Oh, it's nice and pink. I'm pretty sure this is a Myctopus species, if I'm not mistaken. If it is a Mascara Birdeater. I don't remember the full genus and everything. The species, I'm not too familiar with. I think it's either Myctopus or Amphibetus, something like that. I think. But the only one of either of those that I currently own is a Phomictopus auratus. I'm pretty sure it's not a Phimictopus species. I think I have that wrong. I believe it is a Panthobetus, which would make this my first. But the common name, but it was something, the genus SP Mascara, I believe, is, like, it's not fully classified yet or described. Come on. It's like kicking web or hairs already. Come on. Come on, little one. Or not so little one, you're on the larger side here. Come on. Come on. Trying to pull the moss out from like underneath it and get it to trying to wander with it because it's just sitting on a little plume of moss. Its butt actually kind of reminds me of the Xenethithis. It could be a Xenethithis too, actually. I don't think I kind of disregarded all the Xenethithis on the website when I was looking at the hints because for a $50 mystery box, I found it hard to believe they would do Xenethithis. But that would be fucking amazing if it was. But its coloration and its butt reminds me of my Xenethithis intermedia. And although that one's a much lighter color, and this one's got some serious reds going on here already. Yeah, I think it's a Mascara Birdeater. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go. I don't know if you guys can really see that. You should be able to. The kind of reddish black blob that's there. Yeah. See, the thing is you're going to try to climb directly out the tube and onto the top of it where my hand is. Whoop, yep, see, saw that coming. And I don't know what you are, so I'd rather not get bit accidentally, even though you are a New World. And I don't want you crawling out on me without me knowing your temperament. Or an idea of it. It's currently curled up here in the corner. This one's very shy. Therefore, T.Blondi just about did a barrel roll right out of its tube all on its own as soon as I took the lid off. Like, I didn't even get the the tongs in there much before it just rolled itself right out. But this one was very shy. It's got almost like peachish red colorations on the black. I don't want to stress it out here, so we'll put the cover on in 2 seconds and let it settle in. But it's not kicking hairs, it's just kind of in a defensive curl currently. So we will cover this up, right? And by the way, not sponsored or anything by these. In fact, I've been using the Tarantula Collectives promo code for these. But I'm loving the new Tarantula Cribs cuboid enclosures versus the old terrestrial small slider cribs. Getting rid of that slide that doors get stuck on and everything from time to time, and just switching straight to the magnets like this. A, it makes it easier to stack them. B, it makes it easier to manage them, pulling the drawers out or taking the doors out and everything to open them up. And for example, my large treehouse slider cribs, which I'm actually using for my morning geckos, because I didn't have a tea to put in that at the time, and it was perfect because they were escaping the Exoterras. The door on that one is almost like when you try to slide it, it never wants to shut, and it's got like a resistance, almost like the slide was made too tight for the door. And I've tried like using water to try to lube that up a little bit, because obviously you can't put lubricant on a reptile enclosure. But nothing I tried worked. So yeah, I'm glad they're starting to move away from doing the sliding doors and are moving towards the more magnetic or the 3-in-1 ones that have the double options to let you either take off the lid or open it up in half, or have the sliding door built in as well. Because the magnets is definitely the way to go versus those sliders. But anyways,